Hear me?
What is what is going on, guys? You're listening to the Realest podcast, and welcome to November 7th edition of the Monday Night Raw review. And well, for my first Raw back, I got to a point where I wanted to go to sleep. That's just the god honest truth. I wanted to go to sleep through that Monday Night Raw. It was that bad. So as we're about to have, as Andrew is also here, that is who you hear in the background. What is going on, Andrew?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm good, man. Glad to be back.
Glad to be back. I'm just a little baffled. I'm looking at my fancy Turtle Beach headphones, and for whatever reason, my mute button is highlighted, but I'm not muted.
Don't ask questions.
Oh, God.
Don't
I ain't
ask
gonna question
questions.
it.
Don't ask questions.
Whatever.
Just don't. So, what do you think of tonight's Raw? In all honesty, as I'm gonna be putting this link out there for people to listen to.
I think it was good for what they wanted it to be, but it wasn't that exciting. Really, like, today's show was pretty much just to get people pumped for SummerSlam. It's kind of like a
Survivor
prep
Series.
rally at a high school, you know?
Yeah, Survivor Series.
Yeah, for Survivor Series.
Yeah, SummerSlam's already passed. Andrew, you okay?
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I know it's been a while since we've done one of these, but
No, I'm just like stuck in the past now. Uh, I guess it's just been that type of Raw where I'm just like, I'm done.
right. Completely understand. I completely understand, man. So, I
Like, I
mean,
think the most exciting part of that was probably the crowd over in Scotland. I
yeah,
mean,
I want. Oh, good lord! I wanted to say something about the crowd, and here's what I have to say, and this is, what's on my mind here. I honestly think that if I am in that crowd and I'm from overseas and I, get tickets to see Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, and this is the first time we get to see, or you get to see Monday Night Raw, because it only happens once or twice a year, and you get that type of show. Come on.
yeah, and that's the first time Monday Night Raw has ever been in Scotland, or at least in that part of Scotland.
Like,
So, I mean,
there needs to be some sort of like title or something. I mean,
something to kind of like make it worth it for them, like a go home type thing. Like, I think for them, they thought that bringing Noam Dar in was that big pop that they needed. And he
I,
didn't even win, you
yeah,
know?
I don't even know, man. To be completely honest with you, with how that show went, it's just like, man, what what am I gonna have to look forward to tomorrow?
Tomorrow's probably going to be the same thing, honestly.
Well, we get a women's title
Team
match tomorrow.
SmackDown. Well, I mean, that's the only title that's going to be up for grabs, but I mean, like, I just see SmackDown going about it the same way. Oh, well, we heard what Stephanie McMahon said. Oh, let's see what, we could do to kind of spice things up.
Right, you gotta absolutely. You also gotta love the fact that if Sami Zayn wins the title once again, that Raw will have the Intercontinental Championship once again with Raw, which is now
Yeah, they stressed that on Raw,
now
too.
it's getting to a point where it's like, okay, now it's kind of predictable. And if Sami Zayn does win, that leaves Raw with only 3 titles. Hmm.
You mean
Does it?
SmackDown, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
SmackDown. Does it make sense to do that?
No. No, the only other thing they could do to salvage that if they want Zayn to jump ship to SmackDown would be to do exactly what we've been hearing that we think that they're supposed to do. And that's whoever wins the Survivor Series match gets to take a draft pick or two of their choice.
Yeah, I agree, man. But it's getting to a point now with the apparently the stipulation is now it's just like whoa, and now we have Raw's team set and 2 of the 3 teams set for SmackDown. for the Survivor Series match. Next week will be the go home show. We will also see Brock Lesnar and Bill Goldberg in the same ring. I'm sure we will see them fight. It's just how it goes with Lesnar and when you have these little face to face meetings that everyone has. I just want to say the best line out of these promos is when Brock is like, "If I had a message to Goldberg's wife and kid, just don't go,
Don't watch it.
don't
Yeah, don't
watch,
go.
and hopefully he'll be home. Hopefully, I, I love it. I mean, I'm just like, I'm sorry, I'm just like, I'm sitting here trying to think what was the best segment tonight, and thinking about it, it was the whole promo with the tag teams.
Yeah, that was hilarious, wasn't it? With all the tag teams together.
It was
And the
funny.
worst part about it is that Golden Truth wasn't even is not even involved in that match now.
Yeah, we get Puerto Ricans. We
Now we
get
get the Shining Stars.
the Puerto Rico travel agents.
Yeah. Yeah, they conned their way in the match by convincing our Truth to give up their spot
Yeah, I
in
mean,
exchange for
I'll I'll
Paradise.
tell you this: for Survivor Series, our prediction show is going to be super short.
Well, I mean, like these matches are really turning out to the point where I can pretty much predict who I think is going to win. Ziggler, Brock Lesnar. I'm going to say the women's division on Raw. And I want to say for the tag team, it's going to be SmackDown with American Alpha leading the charge.
Yeah, and next week also being the go home
Yeah.
show for NXT.
Yeah, yeah. And see, that's the most exciting thing I'm waiting for. There's so many things to talk about when it comes to NXT. Of course, we'll do that on Thursday. But um, that's going to be something that's exciting. But it's the go home week, so you're expecting them to kind of raise the stakes a bit. And with Goldberg and Brock Lesnar going face to face, that's what's going to happen. And honestly, I'm excited for it. I feel like this is going to be the beginning of what we should have seen back at WrestleMania.
Yeah, um, I agree. I don't want this to be Goldberg's final match, but I'm we're getting to a point where it's no matter what, it's going to be the final match. And I can tell you this right now, and people that are listening are probably going to go, "Wait, whoa, 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 are you serious?" I honestly think Lesnar and Goldberg is going to be a boring match. I really do. I don't think it's going to be a great match at all. I think it's going to be nothing but the suplex spots, and then whatever Goldberg's going to do. Then you're gonna hit. They're gonna hit each other's finishers a couple times. They're gonna kick out. Everyone's gonna go. Oh, I don't think it's gonna be that exciting at all.
You see, like, I feel like when it comes to looking at that match, a lot of people look at it that way because of how much of a letdown the first WrestleMania is. But these are two completely different people. They both came back into the fold with their own ideas set in motion. With Brock Lesnar with his own angle and Goldberg would hit what he wants to do. I don't see it being a repeat of WrestleMania. I don't. Both of them actually want to be here for this match. It just what I am concerned about when it comes to this, and I'm excited for the match because I've always been a big fan of Goldberg, is the ring rust with Goldberg. Like I saw the miscues he had with Rusev when he went to jackknife him and he kind of
Jackhammer.
fell backwards. You know, it just it's a good idea, but you got to imagine the guy's been away from the business for like 12 years. It's been almost 12 years. If anything, it's 10. I can't remember the exact number, but with all that ring rust and being away from the business, you kind of forget how, to shoot a match the way you're supposed to, and that's what I'm more concerned with more than the match itself. I think Brock Lesnar is going to have to carry that match, which is difficult considering who both characters are, because both of them are similar. Both of them have always been the powerhouse. So when it comes to those two, you expect both of them to kind of dominate.
Right, I've come to the conclusion, not the conclusion, but with how Raw is as bad as it is, and I get to thinking. So I immediately started thinking, hey, well, you know, SmackDown doesn't have these big matches that are immediate sellouts like Raw is having. And I've come to the realization, or I've come to the conclusion, that it's probably because of how bad Raw is. That they're putting, okay, Goldberg and Lesnar, you two need to wrestle. We'll have a Raw exclusive, blah blah blah. And then You know what's sad is we have Goldberg and Lesnar, which is supposed to be a heavyweight fight, a fantasy match, you know.
Yeah.
And we're gonna sit here tomorrow and say, "Oh, SmackDown was really good." At least I hope that, because as soon as I stopped watching SmackDown, because of me going to Oregon, immediately it got really good. But knowing my luck, is going to be really bad.
Well, here's the thing. For those of you who haven't watched SmackDown in recent weeks, SmackDown has been really good with the storytelling, which is a really important aspect when it comes to the business itself. It's not just all about wrestling. Of course, it is wrestling. That's what it's all about, sure. But it's equally as important to put on the entertainment value for the fans. And it's not just, for the Attitude Era fans. It's not for the kids. It's like an overall entertainment brand value. You have to keep the crowd in general entertained. And you're talking about how Raw has a big, sellout matches all the time. Especially like the main event for tonight. That's a big marquee sellout match with all those names involved. But the difference between SmackDown and Raw, in my opinion, is SmackDown is telling the story the appropriate way. You feel the emotion between the matches, like with James Ellsworth and Dean Ambrose and AJ Styles, that whole triangle with all the drama that's going on. You actually feel it. James Ellsworth sells it. AJ Styles sells it. Hell, even Dean Ambrose sells it. Not so much on the Raw side. I mean, the Raw side, I feel like they're struggling to sell a story more so than they're putting out those 5-star key matches. It's almost as if they're putting out the matches, but they're not able to kind of back it up. And I
Yeah.
think that's what's really making Raw struggle.
And before we continue on the Monday Night Raw review, something new we're going to be adding to the show is you're going to be allowed to call in on the screen right now. You see that phone number right there. Yes. That is the phone number to the show, and for anyone that has any bright ideas, that is not my number, that is not Andrew's number, and that is not Kyle's number, and Kyle's not here. He is out with a migraine, or he is sick. I feel for the guy. I had one Saturday. So for anyone that gets any fancy ideas, that is not our number, that is our number, that is the number from Skype. So you will be on the show. All you got to do is call in, 409-893-0904. That's all you got to do. It's on the screen. Call in, give us your thoughts on Monday Night Raw. What do you think, Andrew? Something new, huh?
Yeah, I really like that. I feel like, especially with how big we were before, we kind of took that little sabbatical. I mean, definitely the call-in factor was something that we were, itching towards. And, I would like to hear from the fans. What do they think? It's one thing to kind of hear us talk about how we feel about the business from our perspective, but it's another thing to hear from the fans. What do they want? What are they expecting,
Yeah, I forgot who one of our viewers were that was a huge Roman Reigns fan. Or
Oh,
he was a
yeah.
huge Roman Reigns fan, but he hated Roman Reigns at the same time. It was very confusing. I'm sure if he's listening, he knows that it's him. I don't remember his name at all. I mean, it's been that long since we went live, so yeah. I remember, just imagine him calling it. So, what do you guys think for 2 years from now where Roman Reigns will be? I could just see that
Roman
happening.
Reigns will be working at a McDonald's in Tampa, Florida. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something?
I know, right? I'm the manager of McDonald's. No.
Yeah, so once again, all you gotta do is call, and that line is only open during our shows and when we are live. It is not open when we're not live. So, just get that straight. Let's just get it straight. But, I mean, not a lot going on. Tonight was a bunch of promos, and tonight might actually be a short show with how a lot didn't happen. I mean, we can go forward, but
Well,
what's
I
up?
guess you could say that some stuff happened. I mean, like one of the big things that I noted today was that the champions pretty much got their asses kicked. I mean, we had um, Rich Swann pin uh, Brian Kendrick for the second time. Um, we had Noam Dar pretty much show up, the cruiserweight champion, which is kind of expected because he was in his own place. And we saw the New Day get pinned clean by Gallows and Anderson.
Now, with that, with the first one, they're setting up the storyline where Rich Swann and Brian Kendrick. That's just we can already tell that. Now, with the tag team, with New Day getting pinned clean by Anderson and Gallows, that one threw me off. Reason being, I mean, obviously we've already seen that match 3 times, 3 pay-per-views in a row, or 2 pay-per-views in a row, and the same outcome happened, and it's gotten to a point where it's like, okay, like what are we doing here? Sheamus and Cesaro have earned this spot, and they need to keep the spot. Now
Right,
having
and that's what they said too. Like right in the middle of the promo, they say, "Hey, listen, we're going to help you with this, but in exchange, we want another shot at those titles."
yeah, so it doesn't make sense, but I mean that's something that we can just sit back and see what's going to happen in reality. It's something that we could stress about, and I mean we've stressed about it before on how champions get pinned and nothing happens. I mean we've had many like Paige pinned Charlotte clean twice, and Paige never got an opportunity. We've seen champions multiple times get pinned, and a championship won't happen. But there's that rare occasion where they throw up the rule. Well, a champion was pinned, so the championship is on the line against so and so.
Yeah, I mean, it's not always that they throw the rule book out for that stuff. I mean, um, one of the things I noticed when they recapped the match from last week, and I really didn't like think about it until I watched it again and like saw it, but how Brian Kendrick like slipped into the ring like he did tonight and like looked around for a second then slid out. Like as soon as your body crosses those ropes, the count starts over if
Yep.
you slide out again. But of course, they have to keep the 10 count going because they want him to get counted out. I don't know. It's stuff like that as a true wrestling fan who like goes back and looks at the rules and you see something like that, like, hey, you're supposed to start to count over ref. No, we're just gonna count to 10. Okay, that's cool.
Well, we had a few botches, like always. Dana Brooke botched, stepped on Bailey's face while she was being thrown out of the ring.
Yeah,
We had
yeah.
Lana botch saying that, okay, America, stand up. Didn't correct herself either, and she knows she messed up. She didn't correct herself.
Well, I feel like when it comes to Lana, at least, like how she didn't like kind of like call attention to it is because that's what performers are told to do. If you make a mistake live on television, you can't just turn
Yeah,
around and be,
but
oops, I have to correct myself. Sorry.
all that is
And see,
a
that's the
city.
problem. Some people do though. Some
It's
people do call back and try to correct themselves, and that's where they get themselves in trouble.
I don't know. I think with a city you can correct that. That's just my opinion. But I've honestly gotten to the point with Lana where she just needs to come out with her actual accent. Which if nobody knows, Lana is actually born and raised in Florida, and her character is a Russian. So she needs to come out with just a regular accent and just say, "I'm gonna be an American accent from now on." Blah blah blah, and that's what needs to happen. Because at this
Well,
point,
she's having a hard time keeping character.
she messes up so often. That's just like, okay.
Yeah, but at least she's not as bad as Dana Brooke when it comes to the botches. Like with Dana Brooke, you have to expect at least 2 botches per showing.
And if you didn't watch Keeping It Real last night, again, Dana Brooke has the potential of taking Bailey's push either during or after WrestleMania. So let that sink in. Dana Brooke, who botches just about every single week, might get that push.
I just don't see how people will get behind her and how people will entertain with her. I still think that she shouldn't be on the main roster. I think that they called her up, for Charlotte's, a reason to push Charlotte. I feel like that's why they called her up. And I feel like they did an injustice to Dana Brooke and her character to bring her up that early.
All I'm
Because I mean,
s-
Dana Brooke does have potential. She just
well,
needs to learn.
I get why Dana Brooke got called up. Dana Brooke got called up to stay with Emmalina now, because in all honesty, Dana Brooke made Emma so much stronger and such a better heel than people will give her credit for. Charlotte doesn't need the help. Charlotte is at where she's at. She makes her own heat, and her heat is
Right.
outstanding. So Dana Brooke's kind of just there, and now she's getting put in these spots, and I mean it's just awful what's happening. The botches are just ridiculous, and that's the truth. So
I mean, that's when you look at it and be like, hey, you got to look at the botches compared to the rewards and be like, maybe you should be down in NXT still.
yeah,
I don't
but
know.
I mean she's already called up, and she's the second biggest heel in the women's division right now, so it's kind of hard just to
Isn't
turn
that a
around.
scary thought, though?
It is scary, but Nia Jax
She's
is
the
also right
second
there.
biggest heel.
They're also
I would say
protecting Nia
Nia
Jax.
Jax is a big heel, but
She is a
she
big heel,
hasn't
but they're
really had any
protecting her.
opportunity though. I mean, I would say this is her most opportunity she's had since she's came here.
I'll tell you this though, I can tell you one podcast member that's not very happy right now.
Yeah,
His name is Joe Cronin because his podcast, State of the WWE, actually got stolen by WWE today with the State of the WWE Universe. Little show that's going to happen on WWE Network next week after Raw. So that's kind of crazy. They've actually stolen a couple podcast people. Well, I wouldn't say steal because I don't know if they actually watch or not, but they have actually taken some names.
really.
It's actually kind of crazy. Like this,
That's wow.
yeah. Like there's
And Joe Cronin, man, he's been around for a while.
a guy named JD from New York is like nervous now about his marquee podcast off the script, which is understandable. I just like knowing my our luck. We're our podcast, keeping it real, which goes live not live, but which is uploaded every single Saturday. Knowing our luck, we will have that actually like taken, and they're gonna be keeping it real with WWE superstars, and I'll be like, what?
Nope, nope, nope. Trademark bitches.
Yeah, copyright, copyright. You can't use you can with WWE superstars. You can't have that first part.
No, that's when you see Rusev come out of nowhere. Our lawyers will crush you. Fight us.
I'm a real American.
I am a real American.
Fight for what's right for every man. Speaking of Hulk Hogan, he's apparently
Oh, there
rumored
you
to
go.
come back.
I heard about that. Yeah, Brooke dropped a nice little tweet saying that he was coming back soon.
Not even just that, he's getting a lot of support from legends and stuff like that, but, he gets sued left and right, and we'll see. I don't know. Will WWE give him another chance? Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. It might not be now, but they will. I mean, it's Hulk Hogan. He's their golden boy.
Here's
He was always their golden boy.
Here's another thing that's kind of interesting. So, did you realize that on Raw, every single team wrestled each other? So, the women wrestled each other, the men wrestled. Well, we had two tag teams wrestle each other, and then we had the men wrestle each other. The men was understandable because that whole mixture has a storyline except for Braun Strowman.
Yeah.
Now, the women, on the other hand, was kind of confusing on why that happened, but it was kind of like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, it was just well, nobody likes Sasha and Bailey,
But
so everybody else is just gonna get them.
But speaking of, Alicia Fox is the fifth or fourth?
She was the fourth. I was just like, really? You couldn't do any better?
I went on our Facebook, which, by the way, you can like that at the Realest Podcast, and also on Twitter is at Realest Podcast. I went off and I said, Alicia Fox. She hasn't been. She's been on TV twice, 2 to 3 times, and she got destroyed in a pre-show. Now she's back. I mean, nothing against Alicia Fox. She has potential, and we've seen a lot of good things from her. But now it's like, man, Imagine if
Well,
Paige didn't get into the trouble that she got into, which, by the way,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was probably Paige's spot, to be honest.
she's working out after her neck surgery. So right as of right now, she's working out, probably going through rehab.
And of course, we wish her a
And then of
speedy
course they'll
recovery.
they're gonna tease with Dana Brooke being the fifth, and then it being Sasha Banks, which at that point I think the crowd was kind of dead. I mean,
Yeah.
they didn't even pop for that.
Yeah, yeah, they
They
didn't
were
pop
popping
really
for
big
Bailey.
for. Yeah, they loved Bailey. I mean, Sasha Banks, I was surprised she didn't get the pop that I was expecting from her.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of gotten to a point where we've seen it over and over and over again. So it's kind of like, okay, we've gotten our supply and demand. Now we want something new.
Yeah, I mean, Bailey is that new face that they're looking for, and they need to give Bailey the opportunity to kind of shine.
Now, are you
They didn't really do that when Sasha was involved in NXT, so it's got to be Bailey.
surprised that Seth Rollins is the fifth man for Team Raw?
Yes and no. Am I surprised that Seth Rollins is involved in the match? No, because you have to do something with Seth Rollins, and what else are you going to do with Seth Rollins? So might as well throw him in that match. Yes, because from Raw standpoint, why the heck would you throw Roman Reigns or not Roman Reigns in there, Seth Rollins in there, knowing that he's already had a beef with Chris Jericho and Raw? From a business standpoint, it's like, hey, you really want to win this match? Let's not put Seth Rollins in there. I mean, that whole dynamic is toxic.
Yeah, in that Enzo and Cass being the last team for the tag team for Raw's tag team. Try saying that really fast. And like I said, I thought that was the best segment. I don't understand why we got in the New Day versus Gallows and Anderson. I don't, but
It was just random. It was
yeah,
like, we got to have something going on with them
I
in their
guess.
Braveheart costumes.
Yeah, cheap pops, man, cheap pops.
Cheap pops. No, it that was the most entertaining. And it all falls on New Day and Enzo and Cass. It really does.
I honestly thought that that I other than Gallows and Anderson, I thought all the tag teams were very, very good in their spots.
Yeah, except for the Golden Truth, who just sort of were there.
Yeah, sadly.
And I mean, it's interesting too
Well,
because at first it was like Cesaro was aligned with everybody else, and Sheamus was aligned with the club, and they all went back and forth. And oh my god, the rooster comment
here's my
that
thing,
got
man.
me.
I want to get behind the Golden Truth. I really do. Like I've gotten to the point where it's like I actually want to get behind them, but it's really hard when they don't do anything.
Yeah, well, I mean, at this point, it's just a joke. You know,
The
it just
only
they're there for comic support
the only
or
announcement
comedic
that will
support.
come from tomorrow will be SmackDown's tag team. They'll announce their final team in the 10 superstar team. So,
Which should probably be the Vaudevillains. That's what I keep hearing.
I wouldn't mind that. But we've kind of talked about everything, as expected. Chat isn't super active. We haven't been live in 3 months,
Yeah,
so
we just came back,
yeah,
so
so it's kind of understandable. Um, Tomorrow we'll be live with SmackDown Live. We'll be live once again. If I'm not, are they overseas with this show too?
I believe so. Yeah,
All right.
I think
Well,
they're overseas for the next few weeks.
no. Next week they're going to be in Buffalo. Raw is
I
at
think it's
least.
next week.
Raw
Next
is
week
going to
they're
be.
going to be overseas. So
No. Raw is in Buffalo next week.
no, I'm talking about SmackDown
Oh, I
this
don't.
week.
Well, I doubt that. Cause do you understand like how bad their jet lag would be for Sunday?
Oh, if they came back over, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure this is going to be the only show for them to be overseas. But needless to say, we'll be live tomorrow with SmackDown Live. Hopefully, nobody gives us any spoilers, and hopefully, I don't see any spoilers of it tomorrow. And then Thursday will be next big thing. With the video game show in game, I still have to talk to those guys about what they're wanting to do with it. Saturday's keeping it real, and yeah, next week we'll be live. Actually, next week, not this coming up Saturday, but next Saturday, we will not have keeping it real. Reason being, NXT Toronto will be going on, so we'll have our prediction show for that, and obviously our thoughts or the results show, and then obviously next Sunday will be Survivor Series, our prediction show, and our thoughts. So, for Andrew, I'm Blake Carter. Kyle, if you're listening, hopefully you are feeling better by tomorrow. And until next time, peace out.